Welcome to the A.I.P channel where anything is possible. We'll talk about anything and everything, whatever you want to. Tonight, I've been trying to work on this, and I'm just going to shoot from the hip and see if how we can throw this together. I've been wanting to do this podcast for a little bit, just how I wanted to do it, and make sure it was very enlightening and educational, and I didn't want to miss any detail stuff, so I want to make sure it's right. So, see, I got my headphones on, back in the house. If you watched the last one, I was down there on remote out there. If you haven't checked it out, it's just a short, quick one. I think it's only like 6 minutes long. You want to check it out after you listen to this one. This one's going to be a little bit longer, I'm sure. Um, I guess we'll just jump on in it. I've told several people, uh, people have asked me before, why are you like a conspiracy theorist? Why are you, or I call it critical thinker? Why do you can't take anything face value? And the reasoning is, I mean, well, just my way my mind's wired, but one of the reasonings, like on a lot of things, truly, ever since 9/11. I remember I was at work. I'll never forget the day it happened. I was at work and somebody said, "Hey, somebody flew in." I had one of the little bitty, small little TVs, a little TV radio combo thing. Had like a 5-inch screen or something. I forget what it was. It was ridiculous, little black and white. Uh, Somebody had returned it. I worked at a grocery store, and somebody had returned it, and so I had it back there, and I plugged it in, and it worked. So I watched it, and then once I went on break, I went upstairs and went in the break room, and on my lunch, I watched the news. Then I went over there, punched back in, and I went back upstairs. I didn't do nothing the rest of the day. I won't lie. Uh, all I did was sit in the break room, and really nobody really said nothing because I mean it was just one of them things. It's just uh, so I'm moving around and everything. Uh, just one of them things is just like blew everybody's mind, and then and all the information we were getting out, it was the Bin Laden with the Afghans uh, and all that, and all of a sudden, I said, well, maybe started looking and thinking what happened was next thing I know we're going to Iraq, and they're like, well, because weapons of mass destruction and all this kind of stuff, but that don't make sense. If the country and the people involved was in one place and you're going to another, I mean, I know they're all pretty close by, and there's a lot of people that was like, oh, truly were like just wanting to blow the whole area up. Um, Basically like Japan is nuke it, but we couldn't do that. There's too much oil over there and too much uh, too much money over in that area. Um, so we went to Iraq and did what we did over there, and all that stuff happened. But if you crawl back a little bit and you start looking at stuff, well, what did we have first and only times in the history? Like first time um, a building fire for a steel structure actually made it collapse. First time, and it's only the first time it ever happened. There was one building it burnt for like 3 days straight. I think it was. I meant to look that up before I had exact. But it burnt for hours and hours and hours. And if you watch the video and pictures of it, that thing is glowing red. It is it is barbecue, and it didn't fall. And then you have a lot of people that ask questions about it. They throw in building 7. Well, it didn't get hit. Had a few little office fires, and they were put out pretty quick. Um, they said that in the news. And before the building even collapsed, they reported that it collapsed on the news. BBC reported it. Trying to think back in my head, and because I don't have that pulled up in front of me. Yeah, the BBC reported that Building 7 collapsed, and then while they're talking about it, and then it collapsed behind them. It just makes stuff look funny. It looks, fishy. Like, oh, hey, you're telling me a building fell, but it didn't fall until after you said it. And I'm like, what in the world? Okay, let me do some more digging. And then the one building in that area while we're still in New York, you got Building 6. It exploded. They were talking about it. The firefighters were talking about explosions. They heard explosions. And you can look it up, and there's a hole through the center of it. They blew a hole through the center of the thing. Who did? I'll leave that up to your mind and your thought process. Because we can go down a big, long rabbit hole. The China really, for speculation of what it could have been, who it could have been, and all that kind of stuff. So we won't go there. It's no point. Because it is I believe multiple factors. There's multiple things. There's all kinds of stuff. There's lots of buildings that blew up, like Building 6. It had the U.S. Customs building. They held a bank. Let's see. I've actually got this pulled up. The Export-Import Bank, United States. Building 7 had records of the trillions of dollars they were looking into. They just come up million missing, and then where all their proof was, the building collapsed. Hell of a coincidence. So, I don't know. But what intrigued me, and another reason I wanted to do this was because, hearing more about Building 6, and they're talking about Building 6. You never hear nobody, but like the cross that they found, the news was showing the cross in the steel and stuff like that. It's going to be the sign, of good hope and stuff. That was Building 6. They found that out. That wasn't the Twin Towers. That's actual Building 6. It looks like truly that a bomb went off inside there. Like I said, if you can pull up pictures, and right now you can go online and look up Building 7. It's easier to find anything. Well, just the Twin Towers, like the devastation. So it's not like it's stuff that's nobody's talking about or don't have it's totally hidden on it. There's a aerial picture of downtown, and you can see where all the wreckage was, where all the buildings used to be. Buildings 1 and 2, of course, the Twin Towers, Building 7 and 6, and course, they redid everything and moved it around how they are. And certain buildings they didn't even rebuild when they rebuilt the area. But yeah, that's one of the interesting things, that like I said, it's never happened again. It's, there has never been a total collapse, steel frame, fire protected high rise building other than 9/11. You know, there's a group of it's 9/11 Truth, A AE 9/11truth.org, and they're just engineers, and they really it's not even their like conspiracy theories or their think this or that. They just want to get down to the truth, like what the building fall and free fall rate was like, uh, just like if you demolition, the building fell from demolition. You put pictures of videos of building 7 up beside any building that they level, all them buildings, old casinos in Vegas and stuff. There's plenty of footage of those where they crumble down, to move in and to build bigger and newer stuff. So there's plenty of footage that you can look at. Like I say, don't take anything I'm saying face value. Uh, you don't have to believe me. Look it up. Now once you start digging on that rabbit hole, now you might be surprised. And I know a lot of people don't want to dig in the rabbit hole because they have a thought process of, okay, it will bust their reality of how things are. And all I'm doing today is just asking questions and seeing what other people think. How did the center of building 6 explode? There's like a hole in the middle of it. I showed it at my couple podcasts ago. I want to share it again for this one here. Share screen. Here it is. All right. And again, here's the picture. One of the pictures I was talking about. You can look it up with ease. It's not nothing hidden. You can see my little mouse here. Let's bring it in. Here's World. I zoomed in big. Here's World Trade Center 1, one of the Twin Towers. Here's 2. Here's the other Twin Towers. Here's Building 3. It's gone. Most of 4. Here's Building 5. Had a few. Here's Building 7. Just collapsed to nothing. And here's Building 6. There's a hole in the center of it. Absolutely a deep, dark hole right down the center of it. How's that even possible? I mean, there's ways it's possible, but I'm asking that question. How is that possible? I understand. I have my theories in my head of what is possible, but how is that possible? That right there happened. What in the world happened there? It's it's amazing. Like I said, this is easy picture. Here's the credit on the who took the picture or whatever, and just crazy in my mind that these 2 buildings here collapsed with ease. This building here collapsed with ease, and this one here got a hole blown through the center of it. I don't understand. Get the hiccups, excuse me. I stopped sharing that. And then all the other ones, Pentagon. I seen the. I wish I'd saved it. I meant to, and then I scrolled through, and I meant to look it up before I did this. It was one of the reasons I was holding back, and then I forget. And I think about it, then I forget. But there's a video of actual video footage of the Pentagon that day. Um, Supposedly, an airplane hit it, but there's no airplane wreckage whatsoever. No engines, no anything. That was one of the only time there's no sign of an airplane. And even at one point before it collapsed, they showed there's footage of it that there's a hole. And I know I'm holding my hands up at the ones that watching video, but there's a hole sitting inside the building before the roof collapsed in. And then once it collapsed, it made it look like it was worse than it was. But there's no entry point for the wings, so like the wings snapped off before it hit, and where were the wings before that? The wings pulverized. I mean, yeah. It's just so many questions, so many over and over again. You keep asking like, that don't make sense. When you don't take the stuff face value and just start asking where is the wreckage? Where is the plane wreckage? Where is the other plane? And we talked about it when Bruce was on here, a little bit. We kind of gave a hint to this. Of course, Miss Kitty has to be part of the podcast. Lay down. I don't remember my train of thought. Breaks my train of thought. Just everything there was nothing added up. And all the steel from the World Trade for all of New York and stuff, they cut it up, shipped it away, shipped it to China. I literally shipped it to China for to have them recycle it. I don't understand that part. I mean, we have recycling places here, but it was like they didn't want no one here to look at it. They didn't want any true investigation of it. They really didn't want, to see what happened with them buildings. I mean, if it was a sure enough structure failure to cause them, just a little fire and the plane, then it needed to be investigated. So, it won't happen again with another building. I mean, if it fell that terribly because of poor design, we need to know why it did it and what was the poor design aspects of it. But there was no chance of that. It got cut up and shipped off. And so that's why I like all the engineers for looking for truth. I respect them for that. There's several, like 1,000 of them or something. If I remember correctly. There's a bunch of them. Oh, wait a minute, I'm looking on their page now. 3,500 plus architects and engineers. I'm sorry. I remember years ago it was like 1,000. It's like 3,500 engineers are just trying to want to know the truth of just the physical, no extra stuff, no who did it, was it actual Saudi or whatever, none of that stuff. They just want to know the truth. And they're not they don't there was a study guy did a study and stuff, was talking about how it was. Of course, a lot of people kind of put him down. I had that up here to me. Let me do my little. See, like Joe Rogan, they got they can go look at their guys and stuff. Stop, Miss Kitty. Like, hey, look this up while they're talking. So it makes it so much easier. I don't have that little luxury of, I'm gonna look this up while we're talking about it, so I can. So I actually bought the video, and then I turned around and found it for free in another place. It is what it is. That is not it. Oh, I see. There it is. It's called 7. What caused Building 7 to collapse? Dr. Leroy Hulsey from the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And he did it came out in 2020. And it's now, excuse me as I move around. About that. Yeah, he had a bunch of architects and stuff, and they had their students and stuff. People were calling them saying, hey, you need to not do this. They don't need to, you need to leave this alone. And it's like, why? But it's pretty interesting if you're interested in this. This cat wants up here so bad. I wander out of my lap right now while I do this. Get away. Lord have mercy. All I have here is hard to focus sometimes with all the crazy animals and stuff I have. Well, just these two, but yeah, it's just just the truth on that. Just the building collapsing wise, it'd be interesting to see. What me and Bruce talked about. I don't believe in holograms. I don't believe in all that kind of stuff. Could they swap planes? It'd be a different plane. I've seen that. Guess anything possible because we're like. But I don't know. It's the government did want to do that with Cuba and crash a plane but JFK stopped it. So then he died right afterwards. So that that the government did want to go into war with Cuba and basically use a similar incident. Of course, not into the building, but actually using an airplane. They don't care. We're just little pawns, little specks to them, to the powers that be. Look down on our little mirrored existence to them, I guess you'd say. Sad but true. There's good people everywhere. There's good people in all parts of the gun. Throughout everything. I'm sure there's still good people in government, but there's far and few between. And the ones that are good, their hands are tied. There's so many corruption and we had several years ago there was an office up for here nearby, and then I heard by a politician he spent $3 million of his own money to try to get in. for a job that paid $150,000 a year. Yeah. That ain't counting the money of the donations. That's just his personal money. He spent $3 million or something like that. It was millions. It's several million. And it makes you go, what? You have to make that money back. You can't just be throwing money away and turn around and take you 100. Let's say he spent $3 million, you're gonna take him 30 years to get it reimbursed his money. Not that long, but it takes him a long time. So there's got to be a reason, or another goodness of the heart and wanting to, profit wise. There's a movie a lot of people don't talk about, but if you watch it, and me personally, my personal opinion, and an old gal, that's my opinion. Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy. If you go watch it, it's a old classic movie. You can look it up. I think you can find it on YouTube. It truly shows how it is with the government. I mean, how the government's run. You got people on both sides trying to throw money and give you money. Hey, if you vote on this side of the thing, they'll give you money. If you vote on this side of the thing, they'll give you money. And they're like, and then one part, Eddie Murphy's character asks, like, how does anything get done? And the guy's like, that's the beauty of the system. It don't. It never does. While these 30, you see these people been in there 30, 40 years. They're like father time in there, and not trying to leave because they getting so much money to sit there and do nothing whatsoever. Sit back, pat each other on the back, smile in front of TV, TV and act in front of TV like, hey, they hate each other. No, they're all best friends. We had Trump and Hillary going against each other. Hillary and Bill Clinton was at Trump's wedding. They were friends, and all of a sudden now they hate each other. Come on, something got to give. But of course, everybody has I'm saying everybody, but there's a lot of people have a brain of a gnat right now because they have a attention span of 3 seconds, and they can't look back. They won't think about, oh, wait a minute, I remember hearing this years ago, such and such happened. They ain't looking at that. They're looking at what's happening, whatever they're being told right this moment, no matter if it contradicts or whatever else they've ever heard. That's sad. Getting back to continue on. I'm rambling a little bit. I apologize. It's things that make you go home on the whole thing. I said Building 7. I really hadn't heard that much about it until recently, and there's really not much online. I mean, you got to dig and look and scratch, and ain't nobody talking about it. No, the big one was Building 7, because nothing hit it. That's a few office fires, and it came down, and nobody understands how or why. So that's always a smoking gun for the conspiracy theory group that, hey, look, like that, yeah, I'm just kidding. Uh, I think truly, people are overlooking Building 6. I mean, there isn't that much information, but you know, it it might be that the information is hidden even more because of the smoking gun that it is. Building 7 was a smoking gun, no doubt. I mean, like again, I keep saying the same thing. It was not hit by a plane. It had a few obvious fires. You've seen them, and then if you're watching the footage of it, like I said, I watched it all day long. I watched it. I watched it when it happened. If you watched it, and then all of a sudden you could see like it was smoldering out. When no flames flying out the windows and all like that, it was nothing. And all of a sudden she come tumbling down just like the other buildings. All the people on the ground talking about hearing explosions, and then like when me and Bruce were talking about it, and everybody jokes about it. And I know I've seen friends of mine post on and this and that. To get refinery hot, what they were talking about, some of the eyewitnesses, most of them aren't here with us anymore, God rest their soul, is they seen molten lava like a refinery, that the metal was melted and flowing like molten lava. Just getting hot. Even diesel fire, jet fuel fire, whatever, propane tanks and whatever, still, what everything I've read over the years, it cannot get nowhere. It can get hot, and like you get metal so hot, I can take a torch, oxygen acetylene torch, and I can heat a piece of metal. I can get it hot, and I can bend it, but it sure enough takes some heat to get it where it'll. But to actually have it, I still, I can cut it with a torch and heat it up, but I'm still not getting it to the point where it's melting the whole piece of metal and it's pouring down the side of it across my table like it's like lava. It ain't that hot, and it can't get that hot unless like in a refinery, or you have to have some extra additives. And yeah, like I said, most of the eyewitnesses, lots of the footage is being scrubbed. You have to go to, like Odyssey or something like that to see a lot of the stuff because, uh, or banned videos or something like that sometimes because, a lot of the information is trying to be muzzled. But you can, the live footage from that day, they were talking about it. The fall of firefighters, all the people were talking about it. There's lots of videos and footage of it. You can look it up. And like I said, please look at this stuff up. If you're interested in this, don't take my word for nothing. But just use this video and my words to pique your curiosity to look for yourself. Be careful how far you dig. Follow your. There's some scary, scary stuff. And I understand why so many don't. Because once you open that door and see the world truly how it is, it's hard to go turn your head back and go. And every time you see, there's a big news story, like all the news reporters, everybody's talking about it. I start looking. What else is going on at this same time that's more important? truly to our life and our um, what is really going on. So trying to think more of how I would that that's a lot of information to you. There's lots more, um, and this I'll put this out there. If if you're my age, you'll remember it, or you can look it up. If you're not my age or older, remember they found one of the passports from the pilots, and it was on the ground. They're like, oh, here's one of his passports. This plane got hot enough, it blew up. Plane ran into a building, blew up. Fuel got so hot that it melted steel, made a building collapse. Even if you look back and go, okay, everything they say is true, plane hit it, jet fuel got hot, it caused structure problems and made it collapse. Okay, but it did all that, and then didn't burn this passport. And what? This little piece of plastic went through literal hell and came out on the other side. Come on now. I remember that one of the guys they were saying that had passed away. Hell, he could come out and say, "Hey, I'm right here," and he disappeared right afterwards. But I would never popped up and say, "Hey, I'm not. That ain't me. I'm not dead." But I remember seeing that years ago. Dude come up and was like, "I'm not dead. I'm right here, right? What are y'all talking about?" Of course, he poof disappeared right afterwards, but um, who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. Uh, but let's say it's it's one of my longer podcasts by myself. But there's lots of information, and I could keep on digging. I can talk to y'all the rest of the night if I want to. If y'all are interested, reach out to me, talk to me, and we can. I can pull out some more information, more in depth of my theories if y'all want to hear them. I really just want to throw. My goal is to throw just a few spots of information for you to make you go, like I did, and look into it and go, wait a minute, one, why are all these engineers, 3,500, who really, uh, you know, looking down on and stuff like that, because they are questioning the narrative. 3,500 engineers saying, "Hey, this is impossible," without certain situations. But what they told us in the reports they release and say, "Okay, this is what happened," make no sense whatsoever to any engineer ever. Every engineer I ever heard talk about it, and I've heard several over the years, probably hundreds. Like I said, I've been digging for years. Got lots of information in my head that I've filled it in there. I've heard probably hundreds talk. A lot of them being honest. Different footers, different people, different videos, different actual legit engineers, and saying this is impossible without demolition, without these certain structures exploding and coming down at the same time as in a timing matter. So once this floor pops and this one pops, This one comes down, this one explodes. So it's doom, 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 doom. If you watch the footage, that's exactly what it's doing. It's like boom, boom, boom. You can watch the floors. You can watch crap blow out the windows. You watch the footage, it shows it. You can watch, any footage that you can find, conspiracy or not, just live CNN footage of the buildings collapse. You'll watch it. Boom, 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 all the way down till it's dust. And you can't see nothing because it's all pulverized. Building pulverized. Then fall over, then just collapse and crumble. It was pulverized. That's why you had all that dust and crap in the air that killed so many people. But they said it was safe. And that's another topic. But again, if y'all want me to, I'll gladly go over this again. Other big conspiracies you want to hear, I'll sure throw me out. I'll give you my point on what I think. Um, there's a lot of people think wild, crazier things than I ever dreamed about, and I'll look at them and go, and well, I guess I'll just say this. I believe there's some people that told to say some stuff. That way it makes everybody look bad. Now, if you question it, and you have a point that it makes halfway sense, another guy saying wild, just off the world stuff. Well, then the world puts y'all both together. Well, you're both questioning things, so y'all are on the same page. God damn it. All right. I lost a mic there for a second. Snatch that out. A little technical difficulty on my own. I'm gonna keep my hands crossed. I ain't doing nothing else until I cut this thing off. Just me. That's it. That's just me. I lost track again. I only need the cat lose track. But yeah, if anything, I remember what I was thinking. I got my mindset. I was keeping on knock my cord off again. They put everybody in the same little boat, and it's not the same boat. Some people are just off the wall, and I mean that's just my opinion. I don't believe all the really, really crazies. Hologram theories and all that stuff. I don't know about that. And maybe in 50 years it'll be proved. You'll see all this stuff. 50, 60 years ago, and stuff we start coming out. The facts start coming out, and like, oh, okay, oh, that's people were crazy thinking about that. Like I keep saying, well, just this one more thing. Like I said, I can talk about this all night. Just like for instance, Adolf Hitler. Everybody said, well, he died in that bunker. That's just that was taught in school when I was in school. Everybody would say it, and pretty much it's a guaranteed fact that that's wrong. They tested the skull of they said it was Adolf Hitler, and it was a woman, a young woman. They're like, well, wait a minute, where's his body at? He used doubles all the time because he's paranoid of it, being, and all the evidence shows that, there's no doubt whatsoever. If you can go down and look, there was Nazis in South America setting up camps and setting up buildings and trying to redo it again and try again, no doubt. And the government spent millions of dollars M. Not just a few $1,000s. They spent millions of dollars looking, trying to find Adolf after he supposedly died. The bunker just made it easy. Oh, we found a body. That's him. Okay, boom, go. Kind of like Bin Laden. Oh, they found him. We showed it on TV, massacring all these people, just blowing everybody to hell. If you haven't watched that footage, they're just going through there, and it looks like you're playing Call of Duty in there, and everybody else is just sitting there on. You got a bunch of noobs sitting in the building, and here comes a 10-year vet so playing Call of Duty, and they went through there and whacked all them dudes, and right in front of everybody, gun everybody. But they were worried about, you know, upsetting somebody who was Bin Laden, and so they threw his body out in the ocean so no one could really see it. Come on, man. I don't know. That's sometimes stuff just don't add up to me. It really don't. That's one of the ones, but like I said, none of it does. But I hear them sounds. Some neighbors making a lot of noise. But I guess let me get out here. It's a long one, and appreciate y'all listening. Subscribe, like, spread the word. Anything you want me to talk about, I'll talk about. And as always, just peace and chicken grease, and keep on keeping on. Thank you.